This video is to allow you to correct the homework for section 9.2.4, problems 975 through 979. The first question, 975A, says 22% of what amount is $88. Now, there's more than one way to solve this. One way that I can think of is to think of it algebraically. Instead of what amount, we replace it with a variable, a letter that represents an unknown amount. So then I have 22% of n, or whatever letter you choose, is 88. And then mathematically, 22% would change to a decimal. We know of means multiply, so that's going to be multiplied by n. And is always translated as equals. So change 22% to a decimal. Of means multiplied by the n. Is the equal 88. And then what you're going to do is just solve this algebraically, which is that you can divide both sides by 22 hundredths because our goal is to get n by itself, and this creates a giant 1. So n was being multiplied by 22 hundredths, so now we're dividing by 22 hundredths. And when you take 88 and divide it by 22 hundredths, you get 400. Another way you could set this up that I've seen before is where they say is over of equals percent over 100. In other words, you can set it up as a proportion. So if you were going to solve it this way, and I'm not saying this is necessarily the better way to solve it, but it is another way to solve it. You can go with what works best for you. But your is would be the 88. Your of would be the n, because that's what we don't know, of what. And your percent would be 22 over 100. So you would take 88 times 100, because again, this is cross products, equals 22 times n, divide by 22, and again, you'd get your 400. So you could set it up proportionally, or you could set it up algebraically. In either case, you're going to get the same answer. Then $35 is what percent of 175? So again, I just, instead of what percent, I translated that to n. Again, you could use any variable. 35, in place of is, we put equals n of, which means times 175. So n is currently being multiplied by 175. The inverse operation would be to divide by 175. Again, this creates a giant 1. When you take 35 divided by 175, you get 0.2. But remember, they asked for a percent. So 0.2 or 2/10 is equal to 20%. Move the decimal 2 places, add a percent sign. If you were going to use this setup proportionally here, your is would be the 35. Your of would be the 175. Your percent would be the unknown over 100. Sorry, that's written a little bit messy, but basically you'd have 35 over 175 equals n over 100, and again, you would do your cross products and solve, and you'd get the same answer. The only difference is here you would get 20 right away because it's already set up as a percentage over 100. 975C, 94% of 130 is what amount? So I change 94% to a decimal. Of means multiply by the 130. Is equals, and what amount got changed to my variable. So I simply multiply these two to get equal to n, and the answer is 122 and 2/10. Again, you could set it up with that is over of equals percent over 100. The is would be the unknown. The of would be the 130. The percent would be 94 over 100. For 976, they want you to calculate the sales price of each of the following discounted items. So a car originally priced at 15,500 is discounted 25%. So what I did first is I figured out what is 25% of 15,500. 25% would change to a decimal, of means multiply by 15,500. When I put those in the calculator, I get $3,875. That's the discount. Then I'm going to subtract that discount from the original price to get my sales price. Because again, that's what they want, is the sales price. So 15,500 minus the discount equals the sales price. So this would be my final answer for A. Then for B, a pair of shoes originally priced at $39 is discounted 15%. So what I did is I took 15% of $39 and I subtracted that from the $39. So in other words, again, this is my discount. It's being subtracted from my original price to equal my sales price. So this is my final answer. 977. The shaded surface of the figure at the right has an area of 18 square centimeters. The volume is 131 and 4/10 cubic centimeters. What is the height? So what we know is that the volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height. I have that written here. We can also think of the volume of the rectangular prism as the area of the base times the perpendicular height. So since we know the area of the base is 18, 18 times that height should equal that 131 and 4/10. Again, we want to get h by itself. So we're going to divide by 18. Do it to one side, you got to do it to the other side. This creates your giant 1, and you end up getting a height of 7 3/10. So that's your answer for the first one. And your explanation is the area of the base times the height equals the volume. And again, we know the area of the base, we don't know the height, we know the volume, and this would also be part of your explanation in explaining your answer. Then, if the dimensions of the shaded rectangle have a ratio of 2 to 1, find the surface area of the figure. Well, if the dimensions of the 18 have a ratio of 2 to 1, it means the length has to be twice as big as the width. So what dimension multiplied by something half as big is going to equal 18? And what you get is 6 and 3. So this is a ratio of 2 to 1. 6 to 3 is the same as 2 to 1. And so those must be the dimensions of that rectangular base. We know for the information then that the length, which we just figured out, is 6. The width would have to be 3. And we just determined the height for the first part. So now we're going to use our surface area formula. Surface area formula is 2 times length times width. And 2 times length times width is going to basically give you, the side measurement. And the 2 means we're going to get both sides. 2 times length times height. Length times height is going to give you another dimension. And again, we want 2 of them. 2 times width times height, the other dimension, and we want 2 of them. So what we end up getting is adding up, top and bottom, sides, and front and back. Specifically, length and width would actually give you top and bottom. This would be top and bottom. Length and height would give you, looks like the sides. Width and height would give you the front and back. So that's where that formula is coming from. Then what we're going to do is simply substitute. L will be replaced with 6. W will be replaced with 3. And H will be replaced with 7 and 3/10. So we put that into the formula. Again, all of this work should be shown. And then at the end, you can use a calculator. You're going to multiply these sections and add them all together. Final surface area is 167 and 4/10. Now, I don't have a label on this, but it should be centimeters because, surface area, I should say square centimeters. Surface area is area, and area we know is always square units. So when you find the area of the top and bottom, the area of the 2 sides, the area of the front and back, those are all square units, and when you add them up, you get a total surface area that's in square centimeters. 978. Jenna was building a fence for her new sheep's pen. She needs a total of 40 linear feet of lumber. Some of her neighbors have agreed to give her lumber, and she wants to know if she has enough. Neighbor Jim will give her a board that is 8.5 feet long. Neighbor Malia will give her two boards that she says are each 126 inches long. What's the total combined length of lumber that Jenna has received? So the first thing you would want to do is to figure out, um, you know, what we have basically for total inches or feet. So you can change 8.5 feet to inches by multiplying by 12. If you take 8.5 times 12 and then add to the 126 inches, that's how you get the 354 inches. Or you could make your answer in feet by taking the 126 and dividing that by 12. Again, there's 12 inches in a foot. Then you would get the amount of feet plus the 8.5 feet being a total of 29.5 feet. So it doesn't say how you need to label it. So you could do either of these. You don't have to have both. So either convert your feet to inches and combine your inches, or convert your inches to feet and combine your feet. Either way, make sure you're showing what you're getting. So you show your steps. B, neighbor Mike called and offered to donate a board that is 400 centimeters long. Jenna found this conversion at the right. Help her decide if she has enough lumber to make her pen. Okay, so what she knows is she needs a total of 40 linear feet. And what she has is another board that is 400 centimeters long, because right now she only has 29.5 feet. Well, if we take 400 centimeters and we want to convert it to inches first, we could take that 400 centimeters and convert it to inches, or, and this is kind of what I have here, 400 centimeters is the same as 4 meters, because when you change from centimeters to meters, you're just moving your decimal 2 places to the left. And 4 meters would be multiplied by the fact that there's 3 and 281 thousandths feet in each meter. If you take the 4 times 3 and 281 thousandths, you get 13 and 124 thousandths feet. So that's more than enough, because she only needed another 10.5 feet to make 40, and she actually got over 13 feet. So again, you could do this in more than one way. If you chose to convert it to inches first, you could do that, but then you'd have to also change from inches to feet. So instead, what they're suggesting is, or what I did, I guess, is to move the decimal 2 places to the left to change the centimeters to meters, and then convert right to feet in one step. And then 979, this is a checkpoint. Again, make sure you're showing work. So for the first one, you should show that you're adding 13 to both sides, then x equals 62. For B, you're dividing both sides by 4, m equals 17. Again, you need to have work shown, even though I'm not going through those steps with you right now. This is a checkpoint. C, you would subtract 19 from both sides. Y equals 59, or 59 equals y is fine too. Here, x is being divided by 6, so you'd have to multiply both sides by 6. 36 times 6 is 216, so x equals 216. Here you have 1/3 of x, so you would divide by 1/3 or multiply by 3. Either way, x is 72. And here you have y being multiplied by 5. You would need to divide by 5, and you get 3 and 4/10. So again, make sure you are showing